presenter Godwin Lungu. You, our dear listeners, are always part of the program by dialing the numbers 0211 29 34 35. That's 0211 29 34 35. Or better still, text us on 0965 83 0293. That's 0965 83 0293. The number for your messages. You can as well come through via our Unza Radio Facebook page. Like the page, you find an update status, comment on it, and we'll be able to read your comments. Remember, the program is also streamed live on Unza Digital Media Hub. So you can search for Digital Media Unza, you can search for Unza Digital Media Hub, like the page, then you find the live pictures there, you comment, and you'll be able to check out your your comments as well. Joining me in the studio is Democratic Party Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Chairperson, Mr. Lazarous Simukoko. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Godwin, and good morning to our listeners.
This morning we are discussing DP and national matters. But before we get to the national matters, let's look at Democratic Party. In the next 2 to 3 months, the Republican President of Zambia, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, will be dissolving Parliament. And of course, we are also doing a build-up to the 12th August, the year 2021 general elections. Mr. Simukoko, how ready is DP for the forthcoming general elections?
We are very much ready as Democratic Party. Today, as I'm speaking, we have managed to put structures all across this nation. Apart from that, also, we have got all elective positions, such as councilorships, those who will be contested as MPs, as mayors, including at presidential level. I would like to mention it to the people of Zambia that we were the first political party in this country, Mr. Godwin, as we are heading to this August. We have managed to hold convention already. We had to hold that convention last year in 2020. And today, as we are speaking, we have got more than 2 people aspiring in one area. As such, that is a great progress to us. And then readiness doesn't only mean over the issues of how prepared are you in terms of the audience and the like. We are ready as Democratic Party because we have got answers to the people of Zambia. Amongst the answers that we have, Mr. Godwin, we have got our manifesto, which we believe in, whereby if we are going to put up industries in this country, if we make sure that Lusaka Province has got its own industry, Copper Belt has got its own industry, the people will be living a decent life. Even in these schools, Mr. Godwin, which we have, it will be our priority by making sure that all those pupils who will be going to school, they are supposed to be given food. If it's breakfast, let them be eating from school. If it is lunch, let them be eating from school. This is because we are going to be drawing enough revenues from this from these industries that we are going to create. Once that is done, even all those street kids, all those people are roaming in the streets, some of them, they run away from school because of hunger. You are going to realize that at home there is no food. Equal at school, they are going without eating. But if we make sure that there is food which is distributed to these pupils, the remaining food...
Are you going to manage to distribute food to all the pupils in the country?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is a wake-up call, even to these universities. If that is done, it can be okay. Look...
since independence...
Yes.
There is no government that has managed to provide food to all the pupils. Of course, there were those moments during the Kaunda days as well as part of the Chiluba regime that pupils were given pencils, pens, books, but not every pupil was provided with food. Where are you going to be getting the money to finance the food that you'll be giving these pupils?
Now, here is what we need to understand. When we put up industries, the main purpose of those industries is to support other sectors. Even patients that we have in this country, the patients who are in these hospitals, these clinics, some of them...
Remember, it doesn't take a day to put up an industry.
I get that point. It doesn't take a day. But we can start with what we have already. what we can do. Zambia currently is only depending on copper. It is depending on gold. And that is why in the Democratic Party we are saying the only way we can be able to ensure that Zambia develops from this copper, from this gold that we have, it's by making sure that we close the leakages. All the loopholes are closed. Today, as I'm speaking, you can hear maybe this, you hear maybe companies like KCM, they say, no, we exported this kind of tons of gold, we exported this kind of tons of copper to maybe to China of this. When you go to China, KCM maybe can release a report saying we only exported about 20 tons of copper. Yet when you go to the country which was supplied with that, they are going to give you maybe 3 times the tons they have mentioned. And that is why we are saying Zambia is losing out its natural resources. Immediately you close all those loopholes. The money that we can generate, it can be enough. We are not saying that we are not going to borrow as Democratic Party. We need to borrow for us to put up these industries, because we are even going to have means of paying back, because that industry, if it is put up, it is going to be providing us with enough revenue.
Mr. Simukoko, let's be clear here.
Yes,
we'll be having elections on the 12th, and we have 3 Eurobonds.
Yes.
And of course, one is a bullet payment,
Yes.
which is coming in 2022.
Yes.
Then we have another one for 2026 and 2027 there. Currently, as we are talking, Zambia has defaulted in interest payment. They defaulted in November, and that is for the first Eurobond. And they have also defaulted for the January for the second, is it second or third Eurobond, which will be paying in 2027. Now, whichever government that will come, whichever party that will come into power, obviously they'll find these credits, these in Congolese, and they have to be paid.
Yes.
And now,
and then the question should be, how are we going to pay? And also at the same time, make sure that we sustain our industries. There is only one answer to that, Mr. Godwin, and that is leadership. The moment you put leaders who are going to be accounting for these resources, Zambia Zambia has got a lot of resources as we are speaking now. But the problem which we have, Mr. Godwin, the problem that we have is that we have got leaders who are not accountable for this. According to the statistics that have been taken, Mr. Godwin, the most poorest countries are the countries with most corruptions, and those countries which are doing fine, their cases of corruption are minimal. And that is why we are saying, if we minimize on corruption, if we make sure that all these resources are made accounted for, the problem as to why we have defaulted, Mr. Godwin, it's because this government was borrowing to do these roads. As a result, Zambia doesn't draw any revenue from these roads that we have.
I want you to be clear, sir,
Yes.
when explaining.
Yes.
Let me be clear to the listeners as well. Zambia skipped a $56.1 million coupon payment on its 1.25 billion euro bond maturing in 2027. Okay. Then in November we also defaulted on the payment of the 42.5 million Eurobond coupon payment, which is maturing in 2022. Okay. Now, these are the credits that you find, and obviously you need to continue paying the interest on all the 3 Eurobonds that we have.
Yes.
At the same time, you are talking about
Industrialization
or building of industries. At the same time, you are talking of
distribution of food.
Distribution of food to pupils. How are you going to do it because of the financial constraints that we have?
Let me be categorical there, Mr. Godwin. As I have said, the problem that we have in this country is leadership. What is happening in this country? We are not being accountable with the little resources that we have as a country. The moment you close the leakages which are in this mining sector, the moment you start exporting all these things which are supposed to be finished products, Zambia is going to be gaining enough revenue. Upon gaining enough revenue, Mr. Godwin, even you as an individual, provided you have borrowed somewhere where the interest payment is supposed to be 40%, you as an individual, if you find a suitable place where you can be able to go and borrow at a lower interest rate, you can still be allowed. Thereafter, if you do so, you can either channel that money to the money that has been borrowed, so that you remain with little money which is supposed to be paid there. Thereafter, as you are still exporting this finished product of copper, finished product of all these things that you are going to be making, what will be needed now? I've already mentioned it to you, Mr. Godwin, saying, for us to put up these companies, it doesn't mean that Zambia is supposed to be making those things or in that order. What we can do as a country is to look for investors. The moment you go to Argentina, we know that Argentina produces copper. At the same time, Argentina makes a stove. It makes fridges, because many components of those instruments or those to discuss with them, they come here and establish that industry where we can be manufacturing our own stoves, by telling them to say, immediately you put up this industry here or this firm, no any foreigner is supposed to be working here. We are going to be using our local people. The money which that investor will come with, it's not the money which is coming from Zambia. No, it is coming with that investor. The moment that investor puts up that company, we as a country will begin production. If we start producing finished products of copper, finished products of gold, those things can be exported. Upon exportation, we need to deal with the leakages. We immediately reduce those leakages, instead of, no, this firm is telling you to say, no, we exported this kind of tons of copper. Where that thing was exported, they are telling you other prices. And that is why we are saying, for us to develop this country, it doesn't require money. And that is why I'm saying what is needed is by making sure that we put confidence in our investors. By putting confidence is not by us, the people of Zambia, or the government of this country, which is the PF, by making sure that there are kickbacks. Or later, as we are progressing, we are going to talk about honeybee, where a country is being supplied with expired medicines. How can an investor have confidence in such kind of a government? It cannot happen. And that is why we are saying it is all possible. Immediately we start bringing in part of investors and telling him to say, this Mukula tree, we are not going to be exporting it in its raw form. Instead, the sticks which they use when Chinese are eating, they come from Mukula trees. The backs of that gun in Futi Shiria, comes from Mukula tree. The moment you talk to the Chinese to say, no, China, come here, put up this industry. No China should be employed here. Only the Zambians. And maybe only few supervisors who are in that order can be maybe from there. And thereafter, we need to make sure that the Ministry of Labor is enforced by making sure that they are looking at the welfare of these workers. Immediately that is done, we will be exporting the same sticks which the Chinese use to their country. As a country, we are going to be having enough revenue or enough dollars, because when selling, we'll not be selling in copper, we are going to be selling in dollars. Immediately all that is done, Mr. Godwin, we can be able to pay this debt, and we can supply these pupils with food.
So how long should the people of Zambia give you in an event that you form government in August?
Yes. What I believe is everything starts with a process. The Zambian people, in less than 2 years, we are going to do it. Mr. Godwin, no ni kunganda fie.
So in less than 2 years...
Listen to me. No ni kunganda. Umwa umenga alikuwa umwa nakashi. By the time Musliman tigamwa tumwa nakashi uyo, tare lako na nguliro bali ya kuchuru. Tare saka na amate, mushoda tatukwete umwa umemungando umu. What we are supposed to be having is to start seeing improvement within 3 months, immediately come into power. That development or that improvement has to be on the side of making sure that there is no more corruption in this country. It's by making sure that the people of Zambia start living a decent life. In 2006 to 2008, Mr. Godwin, it was President Mwanawasa who said we have got widows in this country. We have got people in this country who are very much poor. As a result, that is why he introduced the Citizenship Empowerment Funds. And that is why he was looking up to the interests of those widows. All those people are selling talk time in the streets. All those marketeers, by supporting them with the little they have. not all these bribes that are going on in this government. Because what we need as a country, it's visionary leadership. What we need as a country is by making sure that the dignity of that civil servant who is in this country, who has managed to accumulate so much loan, is by making sure that when we come into power, we will cancel those loans. Because as a country we are living in, the people who are civil servants, they are not finding pleasure. Even these hospitals that we have, Mr. Godwin, if that family member has not taken food to that patient will stay there without eating. But what are we saying? We are saying we need to supply such institutions with food so that that patient is receiving enough food. Zambians have a right to food and shelter, including security, Mr. Godwin. Yet they have got that right. Why are they not being given food? The reason is simple. We have got a visionless leadership.
The Bible says, if a person will not work, he shall not eat. So where is the tendency of giving free things coming from in the Democratic Party?
That is the Bible which is telling you that, Mr. Godwin. But we as the people of Zambia, Mr. Godwin, if you work, your family has worked. If I work, my family has worked. So us going in there with that tendency, it is not okay. Equally within the Bible, ingombe alidumbwile muchilindi. No, you have committed a crime and they lie. You are not. That was on Sabbath where everybody was not required to work. But Jesus performed a miracle. They said, no, you have broken the law. No. When Zambians are working or when the government is working, the whole Zambians are working. So us to bring that at individual level to say, no, if you are lazy, you shouldn't eat. And then, if you are lazy, how can you manage to find food when you are sick, Mr. Godwin? Even at home, sometimes the woman takes over the responsibilities of a man so that things in that home are all in order. And that is what we want to do as Democratic Party. It's not by single-handedly having them. Where do you expect a pupil who is in grade 1, a pupil who is in grade 12 to find money? This is because they spend most of their times on books. They spend most of their times on all those things. And that is why, Mr. Godwin, if we can go in government with that kind of mentality, it will be only in one area. That is why we are seeing even the cases of drug abuse are increasing. We are seeing the cases of all these unemployed people. It's like that. It's rampant. Why is it so? This is because when that pupil he knows that at school when I go, I'm going to eat. Even if that pupil has not eaten at school, the person will concentrate. As a result, what is going to happen is that person will focus on education. The moment that person focuses on education, Mr. Godwin, what will happen is we are going to improve our research and development. Upon doing so, Zambia will start manufacturing phones. Zambia will start manufacturing these laptops. Singapore, a country, just because the country is not in Africa, but they have managed to do it. Singapore, which doesn't have all those natural resources, they believe that its natural resources lies in its people, and that is why it started improving the skills of its people. Today, that is why we are seeing Singapore manufacturing these phones, manufacturing vehicles, manufacturing laptops. This is because they have taken time to look at the development of individuals and not the country. Immediately, people in that country who are living in that area develop. The country develops because it is people like you, Mr. Godwin, who are going to set up that company, who are going to make sure that they put up that firm. And upon doing so, Mr. Godwin, you are going to have workers. When you have workers, immediately one person is paid. There is what we call a trickle-down effect. That person's family, if they are failing to go to school, they are going to be able to go to school. Even all these students that we have, people like Mr. Kaunda managed to get independence and other colleagues in 1964. And this University of Zambia was built in 1968, 4 years under his leadership. He managed to do that in 4 years. Tell me what the PF government have done for the past 10 years in this country. It's absolutely nothing. Of course, they can brag to say no infrastructure here and there. Yet the same hospitals they are claiming that they are building, the same clinics they are claiming that they are building, they are supplying them with medicine which are expired. So we might be wrong, Mr. Godwin, to mention those are actually death traps because the people who are supplied with that medicine, some of them have died. The people who used those fake condoms,
before we get to that, Mr. Simukoko, yes. Earlier, you mentioned of President Mwanawasa's performance between 2006 and 2008. And yes. Obviously, the people that have talked about Mwanawasa's development, it's within that 2-year period, 206 and 208. But you forget that Mwanawasa came into power in 2001. And between 2001 and 2005, 2006, somewhere there, he was busy putting things in place. People insulted him. People called him all sorts of names. You are saying within 3 months. Within 3 months. How possible is that? If at all it took Mwanawasa 5 solid years, the entire first term of his was all about laying the foundation.
And that is why I'm saying, Mr. Godwin, that was Mwanawasa during that time. But we in the Democratic Party, Mr. Godwin, what we are saying is, the moment we come into power, lawlessness in this country has to end. When you talk about even the law, how it is applied, it's not applied equally. It was Mwanawasa who started building, or who started making sure that there is no corruption. Between 2001, Mr. Godwin, up to 2005, there was minimal corruption in this country. And that is why it was so easy for him to start improving other sectors. Let us look at what he has improved. Lady Mwanawasa Hospital, it's there. Mwanawasa Medical College or University, it's there. We have got Mwanawasa Stadium, it is there. Those are the things he has managed to do. And that is why we are saying, laying a foundation, of course it is like that. But when a political party goes into power, it follows its manifesto. And in our manifesto, Mr. Godwin, we have said the moment we come into power, the only way Zambia can be self-sufficient is by making sure that we start producing our own things.
Here and then, today you form government and tomorrow you start producing your own things.
Mr. Godwin, the first thing that we are going to do, remember, our party president, Mr. Harry Kalava, was the foreign affairs minister. What we are going to do, Mr. Godwin, is by making sure that if there are embassies in countries which are not adding value to this country, they have to be removed. We take those embassies, or we take those missions to countries like Argentina, countries like Singapore. If we link this country to countries like Singapore, we link this country to countries like Argentina, it will be very much easy, Mr. Godwin, even for us in this country, to make sure that we get our medical students. We take them to countries like India. Thereafter, they are going to be taught skills of that medical doctor who is living in India. The moment those people come back to Zambia, it will not be requiring a president to go to India for special treatment. It will not require that person who has got that money to go outside the country. Now, if we do so, we are going to attract the attention of countries like Congo, countries like Malawi, countries like Zimbabwe. They are going to be seeking medical care in this country. Immediately, all that is done, Mr. Godwin, Zambia will develop. But today, the problem that we have, all these hospitals that we have, all these clinics that we have, they are only for poor people. Because the moment a rich person gets sick, the moment that politician is sick, they are either going to go to South Africa or India for specialized treatment. And that is why we are saying we need to work on equality. The moment you are equal as the people, even that president, if he's going to UTH for medical treatment, if that citizen is going to these hospitals, it will be easy. This is because we are going to be improving our health system, and that is what we want to do. What I'm telling you now, Mr. Godwin, is that things start by a process. We need to make sure that lawlessness is getting rid of. We are going to make sure that law is applied equally. Mr. Godwin, when you are a president of the country, you are not a president for Southern Province. You are not a president for Luapula. You are not a president for Copper Belt. Instead, you are a president to all the people, including those people who didn't vote for you. And that is why we are saying, even law has to apply equally, because the moment you are in government, you are no longer a PF president. You are no longer a DP president. You are a president of the political party as well as a president of the whole nation. Because only when we start looking at these issues in that area, where you put up industries, we start manufacturing all these things. Muno mchalo. If you stenge file fuala bana mayo besu muno. If you fuala tule fuala ba Godwin. Chose file from Malawi. Aba Congo aba tulese kayo ba mkambo. Lero eba letseka. It is in Congo where they are making wonders. Ama wonder bale panga mkongo. Yet that Congo which we are laughing at, it's the Congo which is supplying provinces like Luapula with wonders. It is the province which is supplying provinces like Copper Belt with wonders. Why is it that Congo has started manufacturing Hondas, yet in this country called Zambia, we are failing even to manufacture our own toothpick? Inanyere zine tulafirwa kupanga akakena akanyere tenidu we are failing to make in this country. But where are we going as a nation? And that is why, Mr. Godwin, even when you look at the 2018 Mo Ibrahim African Governance Index, Zambia's position was at number 18 out of 54 countries. That is statistics which is coming out. We shouldn't even celebrate that. No, the 2018 Mo Ibrahim African Governance Index positions Zambia at number 18. No. Do you know why? This is because they follow the system, how it is working. And in Zambia, the system that we are using, it's the system of 1991 up to date. As a result, no matter how bad the PF government can do to this country, that cannot be put in that kind of a statistics. Do you know why? This is because they are going to assume that everything is okay. They are going to assume that Zambia is living okay. But what we are saying is, Zambia na batu sula. We are equal to that Somalia. We are equal to that country, which is Somalia. It is even doing fine. A country which faces civil war almost every year. Somalia is now doing much fine than this Zambia.
0211-2934-35 is the number for your live call. You'll be coming through later, but you can be sending your text messages to 0965-830293. That's 0965-830293. Remember, we are also streaming live on Unza Digital Media Hub. You can like the page. And of course, you'll find the live pictures there. My guest this morning is a Democratic Party Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Chairperson, Mr. Lazarous Simukoko. We are discussing DP and national matters. Now, Mr. Simukoko, the last time you were here, we are talking about the Hanbi medicines that were being recalled. Finally, Zamra has revoked Hanbi's license.
It is too late. It is too late. And this is sad for the people of Zambia. And that is why I was telling you previously, Mr. Godwin, saying, if we had a president who was using medicine which are coming to Zambia, equally the people of Zambia, it can be okay. But the problem that we have, there are people who are more Zambian and there are people who are less Zambian. Yet in this country, which the people like Simon Mwasakapuebu, people like Albert Zulu, people like Iskotawina, people like Simon Mwangankumbula, and people like David Kaunda, they fought for this country. They fought hard so that they can see equality. This is because those people are mistreating us. They were not giving Zambians chance. Count to me how many schools that we had in this country. Mr. Godwin, if we can do our research, even those schools we can mention that they are few, they were not meant for us, Mr. Godwin. And that is why, during the time of Kaunda, if you move from Livingstone, you go to Copperbelt, we had more than 150 industries or firms which were producing things. And that is why we are assembling vehicles, and that is why we are making our own shoes. Dunlop Pumo. What is required, Mr. Godwin, as I'm speaking now? All those people are saying that no, they have revoked the license. Are they going to revoke also the diseases which those people have acquired as a result of this fake medicine, as a result of those fake condoms? Are they going to do so? Absolutely not. You don't deal with the lives of the people. And that is why we are saying, if you have got people who are leading a country like
is it a right move or a wrong move to revoke the license?
It is a right move, but this is not a right time they were supposed to do it. From the word go, Mr. Godwin, there is no any way, because they can't say that, no, I heard what Tutu Angurube said, but Tutu Nabenatabakwataninso Mayo. Mr. Tutu Angurube mentioned that, no, they only tested one condom. As a result, they didn't know what the rest of the way they... But what we are saying here, Mr. Godwin, is, if they can be able to supply you, Mr. Godwin, with fake medicine, if they can be able to give you fake condoms, what about what is required for this country? It cannot be done. What about the kickbacks that they have received? They cannot even account for our resources because we can't trust them. What is so different between somebody who has given you poison, Mr. Godwin, and somebody who has given you fake medicine because you are sick? Both of them are looking at your life so that you can lose it. But what we are saying as of now, we are saying the moment we come into power as Democratic Party, we are going to ensure that lawlessness such as this cannot be entertained. There is no way you can say, no, we have managed to fire this kind of a permanent secretary and that one and that one. But what have they done? We expect law to take its course. We expect law to be applied. But the problem that we have in this country, I'm saying we have got people who are more Zambian and those who are not. And what we are saying is the moment we come into power as Democratic Party, we are going to ensure that all those things that they are saying, all those mistakes that they have made, we are going to make sure that we rectify them. All those people who have managed to offend the people of Zambia, we are going to leave the law to do its course. Not because our president, Mr. Rikalaba, will be behind it. Not because the ministers will be behind the law. No, law is blind. If it is on you, it is on you. It has to take its course.
Yesterday, the president fired some permanent secretaries, and in his statement, he did mention that, of course, for some is to give them a way to start pursuing their political ambition, but to others, according to the president, was to allow the investigative wings do their job.
Which investigative wings are we talking about here? ACC? The ACC which the president himself was managed to degrade to this point. What we need in this country, Mr. Godwin, naye mumuziva imwe mchoka kumava njoka mchokera imi mukamba kutati nsomba yambira kuti kuola yambira kuti nsomba yambira kumutu. There is no, you can make all these changes. You can say no, you are going to do that so that birds of the same feathers flock together. And that is why we are saying abakwetena ubwasha bwine ni batata bantu tukwete mchalo muno, because batata badabafira okutusha n'abanaka. The country is suffocating. What is required now? It's new leadership. The leadership that will make sure that it prioritizes the interests of the people of Zambia. Abantu nga banaka. That is why kwa verana substitution kuba fumya nanguni mubola. There is no way you can be making changes kwatiri mbinwe bo coach ero nombawe nobole mona ba bola balete abanaba nabalia tefyo tubombefyo mchalo, Mr. Godwin. So metima sebenzera so, and that is why we are saying the moment we come into power as Democratic Party, it was in 2020, Mr. Godwin, where we told the president relieve Mr. Chitaruchirufia from his duty so that SEC and all those law enforcement can be able to operate freely. It was us in the Democratic Party, Mr. Godwin, who told the president, relieve Mr. Chitotera from his duties when he was then the Minister of Infrastructure and Development. Relieve him from his duties so that all this SEC and all those law enforcement can be able to do their duties effectively. What did we see? Katushinga wale tumisha nama phone number to my son Chikata. I've got a mysterious statement at this time and this time, so I need to be back, so be fast. That is where you have gone wrong as a country. We have told him that. And the problem that we are having, even the firing of Mr. Chitaruchirufia. Me, I don't know, Mr. Godwin. Maybe Momo Adishiva. Now, the people of Zambia, maybe they are aware. Because what I'm saying now is, we don't know if Mr. Chitaruchirufia was that because of that honeybee. But what we are saying is, all these things that have been done, it is just so difficult. The president
has got power, according to the constitution, to fire someone without giving a reason. Hence, the president cannot be blamed for not giving a reason of why someone was relieved of his duties.
No, Mr. Godwin. I'm not saying that the president doesn't have that power. What I'm saying now, what I'm saying to you, and what I'm saying to our listeners is, the president has got that power, but it doesn't mean that for you to put things right, you need to fire people, you need to bring people, you need to make it shuffles. From the word go, Mr. Godwin, you can't tell me that the president chose the people he never knew about their characters. Today as I'm speaking, we in the Democratic Party, Mr. Rikalaba, knows almost the character of all these people. Almost all the people are in Democratic Party. As a result, for him to see that this one is going to be the Minister of Infrastructure, this one is going to be the Minister of Health, because he knows their performance and he knows how far they can be able to work, because he has started with them from there. Equally, the president knew that abatu akwata iminosha litalimba, abatu akwata amenzo ya livenza, and that is why we are saying The moment all that is done, Navena Ninshi,
Mr. Simukoko, do you know my character?
Your character. And that is why, Mr. Godwin, I'm telling you, if I don't know your character, if I don't know your performance, then better not to be in my government.
Because there are people that just change when they are given positions. You may be as good today, but the moment we give you cash, you have money, then your real character is revealed.
As a leader, Mr. Godwin, as a leader, I'm now telling you, you have to be above the people you are leading. You have to be above. Meaning, even in your home, Mr. Godwin, you know that, oh, if I leave this duty or if I give this task to this person, this task to this person is going to do it effectively. And that is why we are saying, equally, when you are working in that company or you are the owner of that company, you know that, oh, if I give this person this task, I give that one, this person will do it better than the other one. And that is what we mean. What we are saying is the president knows that if I give this task as a Minister of Health to this person, it's going to do it better than this one. Because we go for rationality. You need to be rational in the decisions that you are making.
The Constitution...
Meaning, what Mr. Godwin, meaning he is telling us the people he had to appoint in the Ministry of Health, the people he's appointing, they can be able to perform their task very well. And that is why we are saying, ishweyo task baba pere, ushekuiva, ishweyo task baba pere, ushekupera abantu baba Mzambia nemitisha onaika. Yo task tuwa pere, ushekumpera abantu aba Mzambia nama condoms kweba titapadi nefyo yali. Ushechalo tufilo kubefyo. Awe mayo tuwase kwa makota tuwadachikanda wakocha. Because tezo tufilo kulaika lefyo.
0211293435. According to the Constitution of Zambia, a president can only appoint cabinet ministers from parliament.
And there are many? 8 nominated.
And 8 nominated?
Yes. 8 nominated. How many people are there in parliament which the president can be able to appoint? Listen, Mr. Godwin. The moment you start putting in politicians in government, to start looking at the affairs of the people of Zambia, it is hard. We need to put in leadership. The leadership which has got vision.
Let's put it this way.
Yes.
Honorable Harikalaba forms government in August.
I understand what you are saying, Mr.
There are
Godwin.
people that will be elected whom he doesn't know.
Yes,
but because the law provides that he works with those people, obviously some will be given ministerial positions.
How many people are required in that parliament? There are 156. Thereafter, how many MPs is PF having? Look, Mr. Godwin, I always say this. If you are principled, the people will be following you as those people who are principled. Imwanga ni mwe bakabolala, no inenga nebo kabolala. Abakalankonka, bakabani bakabwalala. Balanda tumuchinshi wanseva, kuimina pamu. And that is why we are saying, meaning if you are of the people of the same character, we'll be playing together. You'll be doing all this together. We don't expect anything good to come out from a person who is not principled. We don't expect anything good to come from a person who has a character of stealing. And that is why we are saying, immediately, Mr. Godwin, someone is a thief. That person is always going to be found with the people who are stealing. Immediately, and that is why we are saying, the reason why we want to do this is by making sure that we need to have a principled leadership. It is Mr. Arikalaba, Mr. Godwin, who resigned on the principle or on the basis of what? On the basis of corruption, saying there is no corruption here, there is corruption here. We called him names. We said, no, show us the evidence. He said the time will tell. Lero na tufika pano. Umuntu uteshwa tumpief muli corruption. Nishikatuisho kwekala. Umuntu uteshwa tumpief muli corruption. Nishikatuisho kwawa. Pantuta kwawa. Icharo chakweba tituare chitawino. During the time of Kaunda. We started doing fine. During the time of MMD. Why Sabat no, more money in people's pockets. Tell me, Mr. Godwin, if you have got more money in your pocket. And that is why we are saying the only people having more money in their pockets are the only people who are in the PF. Equally, those are Zambians, but we never knew that is what they meant. They promised the people of Zambia lower taxes. And today, as we are speaking, the Zambian people are paying more tax. Not only to the councils, even to the cadres. Me, I don't even blame Wadama cadres. And that is why We in the Democratic Party are saying, the moment we come up with these industries, it is that cadre, Mr. Godwin, who they have managed to neglect so much to be able to be given chance so that they can develop. Not to go in those industries to start intimidating people. They need to be working on the principle or the policies of that company. They lopa no tulelanda. Bakula fuala konama jacket, nama suit bakula fuala. And nobody is going to realize that badi must treat in Shitaimu. And that is why we are saying, immediately you put Zambians as the first priority. Immediately you give Zambians chance to govern themselves. It is going to be well. Zambia is a sovereignty state. But where are we going wrong? Sovereignty doesn't only mean that, when you want to be a president, you have to be a Zambian. Equally, all the activities that are happening in this country, they are supposed to be done by Zambians. Today, these roads, these infrastructures, they are done by the Chinese. Yet you have got students from UNZA, you have got students from CBU, students from Mukuba University, and all these colleges and universities that we have in Zambia. Yet you have failed to put up a training center which can be training these people. Now they can be able to do these roads. Or now they can be able to make sure that they are doing these jobs for ourselves. We are doing these jobs for ourselves. That is why today, even if we borrow from China, we are using manpower from China. Meaning the money we are borrowing is going back to China. That is where we are missing it. But immediately when we borrow, we use that money within Zambia. Money will start circulating within. And that is why I'm telling you, Mr. Godwin, today that the only way we can have enough foreign reserves in these banks, the only way we can have enough money in this country, let it be dollars, euros, and pounds, it's by making sure that we are exporting things. Nga tuwamba okulapanga ekyakufuala muno, nga tuwamba okulapanga machines ayakubeerako, nga tuwamba okulapanga amafoni, twakula kya export ku Malawi, twakula kya export kuma Zimbabwe aya. Nga twakite ekyo, abantu abaku Zimbabwe, they'll be coming to this country to seek for medical care. Lero panderanda pano, in UTH, all these Kalingalinga clinics and all those hospitals and clinics that we have in this country. Patients, if that family has not taken food there, and that is why we are saying we need to be supplying these people with food. We need to be giving pupils food. We need to be giving students food. Immediately we do so, the people of Zambia are going to have dignity. The people of Zambia, they are going to have their things that they have been that they have gotten from them. And the only way we can do so is by ushering in the government which is caring for them.
All right, let's get to look at some of the suggestions made by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. They have announced that due to COVID-19, we may not have independent observers. Your comment?
Mr. Godwin.
Rather, not independent, but international observers.
Do you know the problem that we have? Let us not blame ECZ. All things we are seeing in ECZ, it is as a result of the PF. Because that institution, it is also going through a lot. If that institution is funded properly, ECZ can operate freely. But the problem that we have, it's leadership from the government. This is because it is the same ECZ, Mr. Godwin, that we had in 2011, in which we saw even the regime change from the MMD to the PF. It is the same ECZ, Mr. Godwin, which has managed to be doing all these elections. But why is it that, can't you ask yourself a question, why is it that ECZ, to amboku imwena mupada ba PF bali mu government, nishita twala imwena monish kwa beleba MMD, nishita twala imwena monishita yaba Kaunda, nishita twala imwena monishita yaba Chiruba, nishita twala imwena monishita yaba mwana wasi.
Maybe we are young because...
No, Mr. Godwin.
The Patriotic Front in opposition, we are everywhere condemning the Electoral Commission of Zambia.
Let me answer you in that way, Mr. Godwin. Are you telling me that in that way, how can we compare this government, which is the PF government, with MMD? MMD abantu bale tola kone mpia, Mr. Godwin. Nomba pacha ya diloveri ya uma. Kapsinga ya divola.
Is the move to allow not to allow international observers right or wrong?
It's wrong. This is because, Mr. Godwin, if I want to go to Zimbabwe, if I want to go abroad, apart from this country, I'll be required to have a certificate of COVID-19. Meaning I cannot visit any country. Let it be Zimbabwe. Let it be all these countries, minus me having that certificate That certificate is signifying that me as an individual, I was tested and the results came out negative. Equally, those observers, they can be able to test them for coronavirus. Abalyanga fyafumama negative, twabalekera bayisa mu kyalo kino. Balanga fyafumama negative, twabeba bayisa, they start monitoring our elections. But the problem that we have, that is why I'm saying, the problem is not ECZ. The problem is PF.
Can't we run elections without international observers?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Why?
not. This is because we need transparency. Immediately that international...
Let me take you back.
Yes.
In Malawi, international observers declared the elections free and fair. The court in Malawi nullified those elections. And they went for the re-election. In Kenya, the international observers declared those elections as free and fair. The court nullified.
Now, Mr. Godwin, let me also take you back to history. Tell me in Zambia, the time we had elections minus international observers, we have never had such a day.
So why do we need them?
We need them for transparency's sake. And that
we
is
need
why.
them for transparency's sake. Let me take you back to 2008.
I've not bloody lost, so don't waste my time. I have not lost. How do I accept the word I've not lost? Those figures were not there in 2006.
So what are you going to do now?
But you are the reporter, ask them.
No, I'm asking you,
you are the bloody
do?
reporter, ask them. False figures. You are the so-called reporter, wasting taxpayers' money here, and you have got these inflated figures on which they say they are closing in. These are fake reports. They were not there in 2006.
Have you spoken to them about these figures then?
I'm giving to you. Go and speak to them. I'm hunting for them. They have run away.
What if you don't find them?
Question. Go and find them. You are a reporter. That's your job. You bloody BBC. This is not Zimbabwe. This is what Dan Kalale, Benon Mwanga, and Benekitala can do. And they expect, and BBC comes to me. What do you do? They think I'm in Zimbabwe. You can run down about to registered voters. They're saying that Rupiah Banda is catching up. Rupiah Banda is not catching up. They are only catching up in their own imagination. Jump from 300 to 615,000 because yesterday was 300. How has he jumped from 300 to 615,000?
He's won a lot of constituencies.
No, listen, there is nothing stronghold because Vubu is registered voters. You cannot get a total vote of 5,000, but Rupiah Banda at 9,000. Where is that stronghold? If you take Vubu, simple Vubu, and all the constituencies which they have, all the constituencies they have increased, they don't use MMD as no stronghold. They are only a bunch of thieves. They are only a bunch of criminals. Vubu, there is no way you can get Vubu. There is no way you can get Vubu to record 9,000 voters. When there is apathy, when the total turnout is 41%. Now, 9,000 is 41% of what figure? So you calculate yourself. 9,000. And if you say 9,000 is 41%, now what's the 100% figure? No. Yes. And there is no way people can record that. And they have done that right through in Eastern Province. Right through your Eastern Province. The figures which are in the Eastern Province did not exist in 2006.
So the results are not authentic for us.
The whole thing, the results, there is nothing. The whole election is not free and fair. Judge Mumba is operating under very difficult conditions because she's surrounded by a bunch of criminals like Dan Kalale. That's by Dan Karale, bunch of criminal, and the man in charge of ITT is the one who is inflating figures. Even the figures which they're coming, that's why you can see the delay in announcing the results. Results, they are taking 18 hours before they come and announce. The ITT man and Dan Karale, they're a bunch of criminals.
What are you going to do now, Mr. President?
Don't ask me, I've told you what I've done now. I can't be telling you what.
So that is President Michael Chirufya Sata crying in 2008. The international observers that you want declared those elections free and fair. But Mr. Sata cried.
Here is, these are the similarities between Mr. Sata, or Mr. Banda and Mr. Lungu. Mr. Mwanawasa died Mr. Godwin, and then that is when we saw Mr. Banda coming in as a president. Equally, Mr. Lungu, President Sata died, and may their souls continue resting in peace. President Sata died, that's when Mr. Lungu came in as president. Why? Tabavi Chudilefi. And that is why.
You've mentioned Mr. Banda, but
Yes,
in 2006,
listen,
President Sata cried, and it was Mwanawasa in office. It is
Listen,
Mwanawasa who won those elections.
Listen, let me explain it to you in this way. When you look at how these elections are done, I'm going to tell you these things, Mr. Godwin. This is because this government that we have as an invisible one in these institutions that we are having. And that is why we are seeing institutions like SCC, we are seeing institutions like ECZ. They are not performing effectively. Immediately these people are given chance. Immediately we leave them operate independently. Things can be okay. But the problem that we have is we are seeing all these things happening, and that is why if we see the wrong things happening at ECZ, because the main aim of the ECZ is to make sure that elections are conducted free and fair. But the moment we see the government start displacing such kind of institutions, even them, they are not going to be operating effectively. And that is why we have seen ECZ was condemned in 2008. I'll agree.
In
Do you know why?
2006? 2001 inclusive.
2001 inclusive. Do you know why is it is like that? This is because I'm telling you now, Mr. Godwin, the ECZ that we had in the MMD government, before even Mr. Banda came in as president, the ECZ was operating effectively. No kwale bokulira kwale bafyo kulira kulya, but nombe fifile kitika fishinga bantu muzambia tatwa mona pwefi.
People were crying. Mazoka cried. Sata cried. The international observers declared those elections free and fair.
For Mr. Sata.
Why do we need international observers to come and declare the elections free and fair?
And that is why I'm telling you, Mr. Godwin, if this government can have a hand in ECZ, I'm not saying that they have an invisible hand by making sure that they displace the ECZ. Even these registrations that we had, Mr. Godwin, the ECZ wasn't funded in complete manner or their complete budget which they had to offer or to present. Why was it so? It was by making sure that the ECZ doesn't conduct its registration in a normal process so that they can deprive the right of certain individuals from voting. Equally, Mr. Godwin, if such can happen to such kind of institutions within Zambia, what about those international observers who are coming in? Equally, the same things can happen. But what we are saying is these things have been happening in this country. Why do you want to get rid of the international observers? We need to tell us. And they are giving a reason.
So why do we need them?
We need them for transparency.
They have been here and the people have cried. They have been to Malawi.
Yes,
Malawi, the international observers declared those elections free and fair, but the Malawi court nullified those elections. The Kenyan court nullified those elections despite
the difference between Zambia and Malawi often ndemyebera ba Godwin. Muzambia bali tumwenamu muno. Muzambia bali tumwenamu. Zambia re chitabwino kunumo okutayire chitabwino ekyo. What are we saying? We are saying if in Zambia truly we had judges like the judges that they have in Malawi, like in Zambia specifically, we had proper laws or proper constitution which can be able to protect the people of Zambia. Things can be okay. Mr. Godwin, We don't expect a visitor to come in your home as I'm speaking now. Mwambano kuna tiyo, since you are a visitor, you must come here, give us money, give us food, since we are a visitor. It is you, Mr. Godwin, is going to be providing with that visitor with the needed things. And that is why in Zambia, we can have all these international observers. But in Zambia, we have got rotten heads. The same things will happen because we don't expect something like the international observers. Those people, the only thing that they're going to be doing, even when you have a visitor, is they see that Mr. Godwin, you don't keep your child very well. They don't keep their child properly.
So do we need them?
We need them.
Let's hear voices from our followers as well. Obviously, we have entered into their time. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, sir. Your name and where you are calling us from? Maxwell, kindly speak up. You are too low.
Oh, yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Godwin.
Good morning once more. You can go ahead with your comments, sir. We do not have enough time.
Okay, thank you. I believe that what the gentleman is saying there, it's 99%. Zambia is capable of feeding itself. I believe in the demo of getting spiders. In 2011, I visited Southern Province under the care under HIV, where I witnessed the FRI failing to collect the maize in their sheds, rotten. And now I can see the baba harvest is happening. All maize are going dubiously in other countries. Some returned by ZMS. All those foods are for the Zambian kids who are suffering here. And when we go to industrialization and the industry, I believe Zambia is capable, but only that we don't trust ourselves and we don't love ourselves. If you follow the auditor report, the Auditor General report, Mr. Simukoko was to be fired a long time ago. Mr. Also Chitotera was to be fired a long time ago. But the problem in Zambia, how do you fight the figure that is the cost, the chief justice appointed by the president? If you go, everything, the inspector general of police is appointed by the president. So it's difficult because these guys are civil servants just in a color of white, but they are in red color full-time politicians. Because even the behavior with the police right now, if you can see, Zambian police is not for Zambian citizens. It seems it's for politicians. Definitely. If I'm wrong...
In conclusion, sir, your time is up.
So, Zambia is back to feed itself as long as it disciplines itself and stop corrupt activities. I think we are able to develop within a short period of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 0211-293435 is the number for your live call. Come through and be part of the program. Good morning. Ata ukabwino ambassador wa Nyarugwe, Mr. Tembo. Yeo, labiranko ninamwe timvwe.
Zikomo muri bwanji.
Ba opposition parties kulineo nuda bwana onga kwa lungu chifukwa vakabwera kupachilimba mara mwakutati uje vata kachite veve program yusirilamo ni PF kodi mwamene mwanenera lungu kuta akapenda mwemwe mudi mwenzevana bayakine awo wenzevana zoona chifukwa kulira ECZ kulia ya mbelero yayi adilesi piteze na yudipi chipadi chimozi pitezo tena chule kasako pala kwezevye kulira gali cheze chipadi chimo koma kwa menena kwelera Mount Party kulira ba opposition valila olo kuitondela atu kuti aluza aliye ba MP anyinji bate valila kuti mwani nyengerera ne mwani ivira so mwawafusa funso iwe menga kuti ku Malawi ba observers ba makadrizi yenangu wanakamba kuti ma election are free and fair but court inachita nalify kuti sana wine bwino so manje aba bantu aba chifunikiro chani changafunikie pa ma election ni chani sati yanga bwino vakamba jambe PF tiusheni vintu kuti tikakuvotera
Zikomo kwambiri, Ambassador wa Nyarugwe, Mr. Tembo calling us from Garden, together with Dr. Proud. Hello, good morning.
Wagodwini mwaporeni.
Twapola mkwai ni wanani? Kupola nako monga nenzodwala ni mandani wachabula. Ine nilifiti bad siri dwalapo so hivyo noza ati mwaporeni sivinga sevenze mwe
Mgwaina mwazuka jini mpola.
Pitirisheni bachabula mnetumina kuisa
Mgwaini ukajendira pamopene no wini omwa icho ya singomuna ni uyu win tembo ya kumapambaza down.
Okay, pitirisheni.
Namuishiwa we mulumende omwaporeni.
Ya mkwai mwabombeni.
Uli mwana umunono sana. Ifwe na cha chero bakaunda bare teka nishine bondi na 12 years. Ero na kwete 12 years. So, simulelanda kwena, mulelanda pebuino. Nomba kuti varando kuti vatitangwa vaseka uwacherwa. Uvi waka eno bulipo ni uvu. Pati pani chendo chindeanda. Wanu vakalava vakuma mu PF. 2 vakambwi vakuma mu PF. Vachapangane sipari pyavo. Iva nyowani, they are all nyowani mu PF mwamene mulana baumpenera varungu. Ero 2 inonchita icharekitiwa mu PF vakalava na vakambwiri vari kishiva kanchi ukanda mulana zewi nomba tufotere futi avarapa mu PF evo tufotere futi awe ine kumutima wandimwandini chavura ini nakana tawamona kufotera po muntu umbi uyo ushava wako mugoma pantu tweranda kuti rajavavumire mwemwe mti evo vina muyo gnipi awena mpf ni grupu feimo ine ni nta grupu feyo nsefie eva vina majamba vantono vasatavaja ngati bunch of thieves mwamoni tapulira ngo chimwe chipusani vina ngo pano no iyo
mukupwisha bachabola inshitata tatukwete sana
mukupwishisha imwe mwacherwa changwa vaseka uwacherwa namucherwa yamba vati kulanda zewe iwa mulelanda kubwino ero nomba mulelanda kone chivemba tata chiruva valelande chivembe cho valelanda nechinyanja not from A up to Z you are just talking English.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chabula. Imwabalwele mupole bwino. Okay, 0211293435. Good morning. Fumianiko volume kuchilimba.
Sako.
Mwacho sako atini wandani abo?
Abati bachikubabe.
Bachikubabe mutumira kuti?
Batumira mwachazanga.
Kambani timvere.
Awe, ife tandauro yatu ni abali mstudio.
Bali na dandaulo bati dandaulo swana ichose. Let's pick this call. Good morning.
Godwin, how are you?
Mr. Elvis, how are you, sir?
Fantastic.
You can go ahead with your comments, sir.
The guest, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Elvis.
Thank you. You see, the issue of corruption is being widely said in this regime because the mechanisms which the PF government has put in place are exposing most of this corruption. During the Manawasa regime, we had a very high corrupt government. It's because the corruption cases were not reviewed. The Kashiwa Bulayas were in the Manawasa regime. Kapoko, the famous Kapoko cases, were in the MME regime. Kiruva was taken to court because of the corrupt practices. Although he was acquitted, a lot of things came out. So this corruption has not started today. Even you are not going to wipe out corruption. All what we have to do is fight this corruption together. Because for me, when you just say corruption is in the government, what of the private sector? There are a lot of corrupt people in the private sector. Why are we not talking about them?
private sector going into the government sector, whereby private sector is going to entice people in the government, and most of them are civil servants, not politicians. So for me, what you are saying there is true, but we have to look at both sides. Corruption is everywhere.
As you conclude, Mr. Elvis.
As I conclude, secondly, you have been asked a very important question. Why do you want international observers to come in Zambia? You yourself, were you invited in the United States for elections which Trump is declaring that they were rigged? If America, the president is declaring that elections were rigged, what of Zambia, which is just coming into democracy? The international observers, you have said, Mazoka cried during the MMD regime, and you are telling us that no, Muno Muzambia Vanatingerera. When you have been given an example by Godwin in Malawi there, whereby the international observers said the election is free and fair, and the courts nullified. Godwin has asked you very important questions, but you have failed to answer them. Or what you are saying is that Zambia Vanatingerera, no Muzambia, judging the image of your own country, while you have been given an example, Kenya and Malawi, you have been given by the international.
In conclusion, Mr. Elvis, thanks very much. Your time is up.
Godwin, let me conclude in this way. Godwin, the way you ask questions, a person should come prepared, because you are very tough in asking questions and you are very tough in probing a person. So most of them.
Thank you very much. Okay, 0211293435. Okay, we've lost that caller. Let's see if we can pick this other one here. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, give us your name and where you are calling us from.
Mr. Levy from Lusaka here.
Yes, you can go ahead with your comments, sir.
Bwino mwauka bosi.
Mavuta nene batulindisa ba PF. Oyambira chabe ba bosi watu mukamba bwino. Tumvera bwino. Kankiri yatu yaonongeka chifukwa cha PF. Mwaona? PF yakangirwa. Why tukamba kuti yakangirwa PF? Imkono mibaposi pamene yendera. Ili patari maningi na PF. PF na beri ichita bavo. Wote wamene ichita mazambia. Mwaona? Sebantu somo toka pano pa zikola pa zichibo pa chan pa ground. Chifuka cha government ya PF. PF yakangirwa kuti ikebanje teke mazambia. Hapa mpavu bonse wanapata chabe mafore. Manje ite mazambia tuzaenda ku. Mafore na mama choka kwa. Imkono miba PF papeleka kwina. Ndama mafore na tuma Chinese. Tusebenza muno tutenga ndama tupeleka kucharo kwao. Manje kuno kutise tusebenze tu ndama ba muzunguruka muno mucharo mwatu. Kuri bendera mabafuna na gaiba bapasa mpavu. Mwana economy yabakanga ku control. Balungu ungalibofu. Manje ndela ngamene tukamba kuti tungababweze ko kuti 2021 apansa ni yayi. Imwe chabe chamene mchitwani mwamene mukambe. Keka betu gwirizane na opposition banzanu tusebenzele pamoja ababa PF bachokepo.
In conclusion, sir.
Mukusiriza chabe abantu bali bechifundo mbaka fire farmer manje zichamene bakamba kuti bakafire farmer that's why batupana kuunga bonse bunga bambo
zigomo kwambiri time yanu ya pita babosi. All right, 0211293435 is the number for your live call. Come through and be part of the program. You can as well text me on 0965830293. I'll be able to check out your text and messages. Good morning.
Good morning, Godwin.
Dr. Proud, good morning.
Munyamata wakapani.
Bwino mwakapani wa Proud.
For example, TF ya lepera. Bamba kuna mizira mahemu pia tino. Yola siri ya lepera, jini kapata lepera. Jini kate ni iye wa mumbipiri wanariko. Ipi ba jini kapata wa lepera na wa mumbipiri wa lepera. Because when I address my meeting countrywide, in each part in the Mumbi area. But when I say to a lepera, JJ Banda, he compared to assist Madonna say, no, JJ Banda lepera. Don't be cheated with any candidate to what PF was actually Jaziko. He is equal as a Zambian.
muone mayuti yao bapemba darafu apa vazedara basaina local government kuti tizilipira kuzedara, but we are paying already zedara land income kukagula shuga kulipira kuzedara but futi vafuna vatu milking katatu. We are waiting tizalipira kaitili wa poison, but 11 August kapena 12 August kapena nini tu uli wose muzambia ngati ndiwe kada kakuchita halasi minibus driver
mukusirizisa ba proud
umupute ola yamene bakamba bakatongo yakuti nomo opposition mukwera mu mamotoka bebe bakwera mu mamotoka yesterday I saw PF kada bakwera mu mawindu no arrest but ya UPND atafire. So we got more challenge. So tipemba bakapokola muchoka mubana ba mukombo muchoka mukombo timirira imwe udunga wa dura matigiza dura. That's why tufuna kuti PF iende yakangiwa
zigomo kwambiri ba proud time yanu ya Peter 0211293435. Let's speak at least 3 more calls, then I read the text messages. Good morning. Hello, good morning, madam. Your name and where you are calling us from? Vana mwaba. Kulishani kuchipata overspeed huko.
Kulishe bwino amenshi avalebo mwelo usuma alisabale pala.
Pitirisheni.
Yamukwa balishani abavyashi.
Awe tule umfofo mlelanda ngaba opposition. Bakalaba badi government. Abo mlelanda tibakesa wa mefinto. Lero baleenda. Twale umfaba opposition fubale idishani. We batikalaba endera fye mundeke ifo twale asiko kwe batwati enda mundeke ukufaya ma investors abo pali noista imo mwikalira okonde bati baleta abasungu baleta ama foreigners kalaba ewa for France ewe ole for kwisateka Zambia so ba opposition mkwifya tamkweta ma solutions ewa tu ba GP no mwaisa kuchilimba like bakalaba balida we balera ile twale ba defend ko ba twamu kwa ma investors ifanga twatu manga ifine na tuma walanda twana mwaba baladiamu mwisa yakina ko twate mwache ba ezigalungu laba kalaba efa twaba teminu namba bebe tabale polo kutibeshi batama kola za babekala kwisa pali lero bayikalira okututuka ku radio stations PF callers mwakuti twapapata bale chitanga bali ku radio batolofu bakesa tubombera ba opposition nalo ko bati economy nayo wanu twali umfaba opposition leader bayanda ko bati even if opposition has some power for 5 years still well economy taka bebuino which means tamkweta ma solutions watulako kupamba solutions na manifesto mwatwela
mukupuisha bana mwaba ishtainu naikumana
mkwali mukupwirikisha ifatulaleja pabu ya ntasho ba PF baletere iyo mwachira bepsha baje abayiche nazoka ewaleli zinga ifanishi tuli abakulu twala busit market mwana kuti tulalela nishaleli zinga lero isola ndo kwa batisizi lero lo ibipire aho ayumwa iche mwanzi basata la kubikira kule in fact bale uyale ishtate contradict mukumfa kwa ndo phone wala ishtate contradict kana vya diranda otherwise if the department power is excellence because that mula development over letere once of ya ntasho utatwa mwenye mwe mchipata overski wobo tulemona that's what the party for ni PF opposition tapali that's quite the opposition she's now.
Thank you very much. 0211293435. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Godwin. Wachikuwala wakati na pole.
Yenzi yakwana time yanu ikakwana nishi yakwana lekanti kambeko na benango bachikubabe. 0211293435. Good morning.
Good morning, Godwin.
Pastor Mtare, how are you?
I'm okay, sir. And you?
Very fine. You can go ahead with your comments, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. You know, you're speaking well, my brother. Continue with your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our last caller is going to be our last caller this morning before we shift our attention to the inbox. Hello, good morning. tasebenza bwino kaya mwasebenza bwanji bamwami Kalenga imwe mwawuka ise tisebenza tiendala mu kukomboka
kala bochikongeresa tawu zonke zonke bakamba bali mu studio mo bateni ngakambe ni nchakuti nkanyama elections otikambe tikapena ba ECZ no opposition bama blame munga makambira bonse maona ka bateni manja kusa nchakuti vama yamba malesha haipofika vambo complain maisura inde kabwino tikaona malesha nyatazakala friend say amalesha lionse nyota nyimbo but akafika ja day after voting wakapenda mavoti ndipo itakwanji bachuka manje aja magride banalitayo manje hizo kamba yote batipena onani but ningeleteni funa kukonzera na tutauti nikaone opposition ngacha baenda batoko election bawina then bakalifu na jamaa yakumbula ati ama election hiyo ngatitauti tawina no na wine bwino amando kutana alikuwa ende sabwino but then chima jofa ntabuti bana ibalako borusija noende pa street to celebrate maona ka vaibala tiai amaleshin bezo kama tali friend share mukusiriza kubera ukanya bandani bali msingi bakabatia ba GP bako kalamulo ba GP ba fight na corruption ile mkona pano na kuti imabani makamba bomto simani ngena mmaye tera kunyanga imwe maona imafunta na corruption ngatutenga drama za kwenye siza bolandira upaka mtumba ni corruption nayo ija maki mafunta yo futa simani nyanga pana magogo za nitajiza kufunta funto hiyo uwezo wa kalaba mutani muoffice muja after the development parliament uishi banali kuziba atili muoffice ligo tinipula indalama chado kama ali muoffice muja mlando kusaziba la mulo imoma nyaka leo patia iyo zinambona kuchuweza drama kali wana yezi command kuli president nanga president akamba kutoka lero ma MPV no develop paka deo voter mzapo just because president akamba so maona imoma kuweza drama
mukoserezesa mwami Kalenga
siri interested mkuziwa ati njema na zwana na bodi kuweza ndaba tipa kuzalisha kumchezo viva tuanali iligo mwofe kwa sira kumfalisi.
Thank you very much. Let's see if we can get rid some Facebook comments. Arthur Piri saying, morning Godwin Lungo, the guest you have brought today is no personal. He put every blame on President Lungu. As for me, that guy knows nothing about governance system. Can he change things within 3 months? That's a blue lie. Otherwise, President Lungu has worked, and people people are able to see what he has done. It's only blind people like Simukoko who can't see it. Koma Isaac is saying, good morning, Simukoko. I just want to find out what were the name of the other contestants for the position of a party president at your convention. Okay, that's a question. I'm sure Mr. Kalaba went unopposed, not so?
Absolutely.
Okay, he went unopposed. Let's get to read this text message. Good morning, sir. Was spoken come 12 August 2021. We need to retire our PF because of corruption, unemployment, high cost of living, poverty, poor economy, poor leadership. And sir, don't worry about Vamushani Nawari. Okay, Mwanda Patrick, thanks very much. DP antics of a clown amuses me. Rather than that man wasting valuable time on air, let him ask HH how it pains to lose 6 times. Mana doesn't fall nowadays. Okay, a text coming from GCY. Love Olungo is saying, hey Godwin and the panelists, the PF borrowed the money and the money is being used well. They have built structures and a lot of things have changed. Okay, those are comments, Facebook comments, as well as text messages, and we've also heard from the callers. Mr. Simukoko, your time to react.
Well, I think from everything that has been said, Mr. Godwin, I'll start responding to them randomly. This is because other people are saying that yo sinika mapati manifesto pano nikamba vajenzo kamba mchina sinika mapati manifesto vetaka chita. You know, I've mentioned it here, Mr. Godwin, that once we come into office, once we're going to look at is industrialization, we need to be producing our own things in this country. Apart from that, I've mentioned to say all those civil servants who have accumulated loans, we are going to make sure that we cancel those loans. Apart from that also, Mr. Godwin, it is this country, it is this government in this country which is going to be making sure once we come into power that the tourism sector is improved. Apart from that, Mr. Godwin, other people have come to say, no, Mr. Sata went unopposed and the like. It didn't go unopposed, Mr. Godwin. What we did before we had our convention, by the way, Mr. Calabayes, we had our convention, Mr. Godwin. A month before, we informed the people all across our structure saying, if you want to contest on the position of a president, you can send your email on this and that. No email came through. What did you expect from us? Were we supposed to sit down and say, no, since there is no email which has come through, let us be able not to have our convention, since there is no... That is what we did. We were transparent enough. That's why we are called Democratic Party. We believe in democracy. Apart from that, Mr. Godwin, other people have mentioned here to say, no, Mr. Kalaba stayed in office illegally. Didn't he know that he was in office? Allow me to mention to our caller saying, when Mr. Ali Kalaba was the Foreign Affairs Minister, at that moment he was in Israel. When he was in Israel, after he knew that the court has managed to rule that the ministers are supposed to pay, he was the first minister who said, I am going to pay. How should I pay? And other ministers stood up by saying, no, you just want to show off. What do you want to pay? And he demonstrated that because he was the first person to pay. Apart from that, the person has said, didn't he know that he was in office illegally, or maybe just because the president says so? Those people, so that you understand how the system works. Because when you look at how these things are operating, or these things do operate, when a decision comes from a president, just like the way you have said, Mr. Godwin, you shouldn't question the president why he has fired that one and why he has hired the one, because it is within the constitution. Equally, when the president makes such kind of a decision, what is supposed to be done, Mr. Godwin? I've already mentioned this. We believe in majority. That is the problem, and the majority are not always right. The decisions that are made, Mr. Godwin, if the president, they have a meeting to say we are going to be able to live in this country and we are going to make this kind of a decision, if that president, the majority have said yes, you are going to remain in office, despite of the rest of the people saying that this is the wrong decision, just because the majority have managed to vote yes, we are going to stay in office, even if it is illegal, the president to take that stance. And for you to resign, Mr. Godwin, there are processes to follow. Even me, if I want to resign, I need to go to the National Secretary. I need to go out to the Secretary General. I hand in a resignation letter. For them to reply that resignation letter, it can take months. It can take years. That is what usually happens, and that is why Mr. Ali Kalaba had to resign, because of such kind of problems which were existing in that party. Other people, Mr. Godwin, in conclusion, they have said, no, Mr. Can we reform this political party, and they're like, they were in PF. We cannot vote for them. Equally, when you are boarding a bus, nga mwakwera mu basi mwa use bemba because of achira bomfya. Nga mwakwera basi mwe, driver wenu nga lemi tuwalo okota muleya. Chetumlanda tiyo atuma muli ya basi, sote tukwele muli basi. Tell me constitution yala ndati yonga wali MPF wapanga political party tetuve president. Takwaba no ni basata bafumine mu MMT but bali ni ba president and bali chinjisheko efintu fimbi. Bantu muno mchalo, in terms of being young, those people, be very much careful. Ordinance is not measured by age but by intelligence. Ubukulu te mumu te myefu te nankane te mfwi te mishishi but mano twalimba no limbo that ichikalamba nishi mano umuntu emukulu. If you have got vision, let us not sideline the youth to do their duties. Let us not sideline the youth from doing what is best for them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simukoko, for coming through.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godwin. It is our pleasure and the pleasure of Democratic Party being here.
All right, and of course, that's where we end today's edition of the Lusaka Star Radio Magazine program, a program which discusses issues affecting our communities. And of course, in the studio, I was joined by Democratic Party Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Chairperson, Mr. Lazarous Simukoko, and we were discussing DP and national matters. This has been Godwin Lungu. Until next time, bye-bye. The owners of the time are in the studio. So let's go to the other small studio.